Speaking of game threes that are really important and pivotal, Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks game threes tonight. And the first two games, we know the Nets took those. They're up 2-0. And I think if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, first of all, you have to forget game two. You lose 125-86. You got to forget game two. But I keep hearing this question, is this series over after these first two games? And the answer is no. This series is not over. But I will say this, because I think that obviously once it shifts to Milwaukee, players play more confidently. I expect the Milwaukee Bucks to be more aggressive, especially at Pfizer Forum. I don't expect them to commit 16 turnovers, more turnovers than they had assists, which was 14 in the game. Because here's what we do know. Obviously, James Harden, we hope he gets better and he recovers from that kind of re-strained hamstring. And I know it's just the regular season, but the Milwaukee Bucks did muscle out 2 wins over the Brooklyn Nets at Pfizer Forum in the regular season. Again, granted, it's the regular season, but they had complete games. But this is why, and so for that reason and for that reason only, the confidence they'll have at home, I don't think the series is over. But this is why I did predict that the Brooklyn Nets would beat the Milwaukee Bucks. I thought it'd be in 6 games. But the reason why I didn't think the Milwaukee Bucks could win this series had nothing to do with their inability to defend at a high level. It had everything to do with the prolific offense of the Brooklyn Nets. I didn't think the Milwaukee Bucks could keep up with the scoring from the Brooklyn Nets, especially from the three-point line. And what's been the biggest issue so far with the Milwaukee Bucks? It's been their offense. They were not able to keep up with the Brooklyn Nets, especially from the three-point line in game 2. And I think that I said this before, everyone's been stressing to me, well, the Milwaukee Bucks, their defense is really good, and I agree that it is. Giannis Antetokounmpo is the reigning MVP, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, yada, yada, yada. I like that. But you're trying to defend against perhaps 2 of the top 5 ISO players in the league. And then you throw in James Harden, that's a third. And the other thing is, on the Brooklyn Nets, you look at their roster. Legitimately, only 3 guys on their roster can't shoot the 3-ball well. The Brooklyn Nets are shooting a playoff best as a team, 43% from the 3-point line this postseason. DeAndre Jordan, Nick Claxton, and Bruce Brown are literally the only 3 guys on the Brooklyn Nets that can't shoot the 3-ball at an efficient rate. KD, Kyrie, Harden, even if Harden's not there. Joe Harris, who leads the NBA in 3-point percentage. Landry Shamet, Luwawu Cabarrot, who hasn't even been playing. Timothy Luwawu Cabarrot. Blake Griffin, all of a sudden, has transformed himself, can shoot threes. Jeff Green can shoot threes. The Milwaukee Bucks, you look at game 2. They struggled from the 3-point line. In fact, the game that they needed to take was game 1. Game 1, where they lost 115-107, was the game that they should have stolen in Brooklyn, 115-107. Giannis had a monster performance like you would have expected, 34 points, 11 rebounds. He even gave you 2 3-pointers, 2 for 5 from the 3-point line. You can't ask for anything better from Giannis Antetokounmpo. But in game 1, what does Middleton do? Middleton goes 0 for 5. Drew Holiday struggles. You have Pat Connaughton, 0 for 1. Bryn Forbes, 1 for 5. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. And I like Drew Holiday. I like Chris Middleton. I like Pat Connaughton. I like PJ Tucker. I like and Bryn Forbes. I think that they are good 3-point shooters, but they can't shoot the 3-ball at the same level as these guys. I think Dante DiVincenzo going out was a huge blow for this team, and a blow that hasn't been discussed enough. I think his impact is profound on the Milwaukee Bucks. And so the other piece of it is, let's assume, because we all assumed that this would be perhaps one of the best second-round series we were going to watch this year, this postseason. Part of that is because we expected every game to be close down the stretch, to be kind of a nip and tuck game and entering the fourth quarter. Under that assumption, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, who do you go to close the game? You go to Kyrie, you go to KD. You're the Milwaukee Bucks. Who do you go to close the game? You're going to Chris Middleton. You're not going to Giannis. And I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'll say it again. Would you rather have KD or Kyrie closing versus Chris Middleton? And I know the question is, it's not as simple as that. It's not as granular as that. But that's the reality is, who do you trust more down the stretch? Assuming that both teams are playing well and it's going to be close down the stretch. Do you want KD or Chris Middleton taking the shot down the stretch for you? And that's what this game is going to come down to. That's what this series is going to come down to. Can Chris Middleton step up along with Giannis? I think Giannis, you can't absolve him of that Game 2 performance. But again, once you go back to Milwaukee, that crowd, they're not going to commit 16 turnovers. The game will be much more closely as it was, and much more competitive as it was in the regular season, especially sans James Harden, who I don't expect to play tonight, and I'm not sure if he will reappear in this series. So if the game's going to be close down the stretch, can Giannis and Chris Middleton close over KD and Kyrie? That's the question. Now, again, I think that the role players will shoot a lot better. I don't expect Milwaukee to shoot 30% from the three-point line again in Game 3 at home like they did in Game 2. But is that going to be enough? I think that they are good enough. I think that pride will kick in. I think that they have enough pride and enough confidence at home to win at least one or two more games. I do. I do believe that. But beyond one or two more games, I just don't see it. I said this is why I thought the Brooklyn Nets would win in 6. It might not even go 6 games. Because Milwaukee's going to have to shoot from the three-point line at least 38% to give themselves a chance. I mean, this is why the Nets are so difficult to beat, is because their offense is so prolific. It's not just that they score a bunch of points, it's that it puts pressure on your opposing offense to keep up with them. That's what makes them so difficult. That's the biggest impediment to the Milwaukee Bucks. Can you score enough? Which is, it's hard to fathom that would be the strategy you need to employ. It's not, okay, let's try and defend these guys, which obviously you try to do. Can you score enough? Can you shoot from the outside at a consistent enough level to keep up with this team? So I think that the Bucks will bounce back in Game 3. I think they'll take Game 3. After that, I'm not sure. I hope for the sake of this NBA series, it extends beyond 5 games or 4 games. I hope it reaches 6, but I don't know. Game 3 is a big one. Game 3 is a big one.